Rylan nodded, a rare smile breaking across his face. This is just the beginning. Humanity does not stop when the odds are against us. We advance, we endure, and we fight for every inch of the stars. Across the galaxy, human fleets cheered. The Clithians, cold and calculating, realized they had underestimated a species that refused to be broken. They had declared war expecting fear. Instead, they found brilliance, courage, and laughter. The heart of the battle had been won. Humanity had struck at the core of their enemy, proving that they were not just survivors. They were warriors, thinkers, and unbreakable spirits. And in the hearts of every human, the fire of defiance burned brighter than ever. The galaxy would remember this day. The day humans laughed in the face of war and proved that courage could ignite even the darkest void. The stars themselves seemed to shake under the fury of battle. Humanity's fleets pressed forward, relentless and fearless. Captain Rylan Hale stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, eyes scanning the chaos with unwavering focus. The Clithians had underestimated humans, and now their arrogance was their weakness. Every human ship, every crew member carried the fire of defiance into the void. "Captain," Lieutenant Mirajo reported, "the Clithian fleet is faltering. Their formations are breaking. Their dreadnoughts are damaged, retreating. They weren't prepared for our tactics." Rylan nodded. "Then we press the advantage. This is our moment. Humanity does not just survive. We rise, we strike, and we make our presence known. Inform all fleets, push forward, but maintain discipline. We fight with our minds as much as our weapons." Human ships moved with extraordinary coordination, using asteroid belts, nebulae, and gravity wells as shields and traps. Mines detonated, lasers danced across the void, and enemy ships faltered under human ingenuity. The Clithians, who had declared war to intimidate, now faced confusion, frustration, and fear. Humans did not panic, they adapted. Humans did not surrender, they advanced. On the Dauntless, Rylan's crew worked tirelessly, rerouting power, recalibrating shields, and coordinating attacks. Every crew member felt the pulse of humanity in their veins. Courage, determination, and a relentless refusal to yield. "Captain," Mira said, her voice tight with emotion, "the Clithians are targeting civilian colonies. They want to break our spirit." Rylan's gaze hardened. "Then we protect them. Humanity does not abandon its own. Deploy rescue and defense teams immediately. Every life matters. Every act of courage counts." As human ships raced to defend the colonies, small strikes against the Clithian fleet intensified. Boarding teams disabled ships from within, explosions rocking the enemy lines. The Clithians had strength, but humans had spirit, and spirit could not be destroyed. Back on Earth, Chancellor Leona Varys addressed the world. "Look at them," she said, her voice steady but emotional. "Every human fighting in space today carries the hope of all humanity. They are showing the galaxy what courage looks like. They are showing that strength is not just in numbers or weapons, but in the refusal to bow, the refusal to surrender, and the refusal to lose heart." The Clithians, relentless as they were, began to retreat, their morale shattered by human strategy, bravery, and ingenuity. Their dreadnoughts burned, their ships scattered, and their command structure faltered. They had expected humans to fear death. They had expected humans to hesitate. They were wrong. Rylan looked at his crew, proud but determined. "This is the turning tide. Humanity will not stop until the galaxy knows that we are unyielding. We fight for freedom, for life, for every human who dares to dream. Today we are more than soldiers. We are the spirit of humanity itself." Across the galaxy, human ships cheered over communications, not just for victories won, but for lives saved, for courage proven, and for the fire that burned within every human heart. In the void, Clithian commanders realized the truth too late. Humans were not a species to intimidate. Humans were unpredictable, unstoppable, and unbroken. Where machines and weapons could fail, the human spirit always thrived. The tide of war had shifted. Humanity was no longer on the defensive, they were advancing. Every victory, every bold strike inspired hope across colonies and fleets. Humans were proving that they were not just survivors, but warriors, thinkers, and pioneers of the stars. Captain Rylan Hale exhaled, a sense of calm settling over him despite the chaos. The battle was far from over, but humanity had shown the galaxy its heart. Courage, intelligence, and unyielding spirit were stronger than any weapon, larger than any fleet, and brighter than any star. And in that moment, as human ships surged forward against retreating enemies, the galaxy began to understand. The humans laughed in the face of war because they carried something no enemy could ever destroy. The turning tide had begun, and humanity would never look back. The remnants of the Clethian fleet fled through the stars. Battered, broken, and stunned, Captain Rylan Hale stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, his eyes tracing the retreating ships. The battle was over, at least for now. Humanity had not only survived, they had triumphed. And the galaxy, wide and infinite, had witnessed something unforgettable. "Captain," Lieutenant Mirajo said, her voice soft but filled with awe. "They're retreating. Full withdrawal." Rylan allowed himself a rare smile. "They underestimated us. They thought fear would weaken humanity. Instead, courage, unity, and determination won. Humanity does not bow. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity laughs." Across the galaxy, human fleets regrouped. Fires burned on the Clethian ships. Explosions lit the darkness, but humans did not gloat. They celebrated their spirit, their survival, and their ingenuity. Each ship carried the pride of every human who had ever looked up at the stars and dreamed. Back on Earth, Chancellor Leona Varys addressed the world. Her holographic image filled every city, every colony, every communication channel. "Today, humans have shown the galaxy what we are," she said. "We are not merely survivors of history. We are fighters, thinkers, and unbreakable spirits. Every human heartbeat is one today, proving that courage is stronger than fear, unity stronger than oppression, and hope stronger than despair." Humanity laughs in the face of war, and no force can silence that laughter. The civilians on Earth cheered, tears streaming, hearts full. Children waved at screens, dreaming of stars, inspired by the courage of pilots, soldiers, and explorers they would one day follow. Humanity had survived the impossible and emerged stronger, braver, and wiser. Captain Rylan looked at his crew. Their faces were tired, scarred, and yet shining with pride. "We fought not for glory," he said softly, "but for life, for freedom, for every human who dares to dream. The galaxy may fear us, respect us, even envy us, but we fight because it is in our nature to stand tall, no matter the odds." Lieutenant Joe nodded. "We've shown them, haven't we? The Clethians thought they could intimidate us. They thought the 5,000 years of peace had made us soft. But humans adapt, survive, and rise stronger than ever." Ryland's gaze drifted across the stars. The battlefield was silent now, save for the hum of human engines. Debris floated among the wrecks of the enemy fleet, but every human heart pulsed with life, courage, and defiance. The galaxy had learned a lesson it would never forget. Humans are not a species to be conquered. For thousands of light years, the tale would spread. Planets would whisper of humanity's audacity, their unpredictable genius, and their unbreakable spirit. Entire civilizations would rethink their assumptions. They had declared war on humanity, expecting fear. They had found laughter, courage, and resilience instead. The Dauntless's crew gathered in the observation deck, watching the horizon. Stars shimmered like distant promises, and the void seemed quieter now, peaceful in a way that celebrated life. Humans had faced death and destruction and had chosen to rise together stronger than ever. Rylan exhaled deeply. "The 5,000 years of peace may be gone," he said, voice low but steady. "But humanity's strength, our courage, our laughter, our unbreakable spirit is eternal. Let the galaxy come.
We are ready."
We always have been." Somewhere deep in the cosmos, a Clethian commander whispered in disbelief. They are unlike any species we have faced. They do not fear death. They do not bow. They fight with hearts, with spirit, with laughter." And that laughter, the laughter of humanity, echoed across the stars. It was a sound of defiance, hope, and victory. It was a sound that would be remembered for millennia, a message to all civilizations. Humans may be tested, challenged, and threatened, but they will never, ever be broken. The battle was over, but the story of humanity's courage had only begun. They had survived the impossible, triumphed against overwhelming odds, and reminded the galaxy of one unshakable truth. When humanity laughs, the universe listens. For 5,000 years, humanity had lived in peace. The stars had never known war from human hands. Earth had become a shining jewel of the galaxy. Cities glimmered under protective domes. Children played in parks where holographic flowers swayed in the wind. Starships glided silently between planets, carrying explorers, traders, and diplomats. Humans had learned to travel faster than light, harness incredible energy, and communicate with alien civilizations. The galaxy respected humanity, but always with caution. Captain Rylan Hale of the starship Dauntless stood on the observation deck, gazing at the glittering stars. His crew was busy preparing for a routine diplomatic mission to the Cathar system. They were known as intelligent, careful, and proud. Humans had always been careful with them. Humanity had survived wars before, but diplomacy had kept the galaxy quiet for centuries. "Captain," said Lieutenant Mira Jo, her voice tight. "We're receiving alerts from the outer rim. Large fleets approaching at high speed. Clithian signatures." Rylan's heart skipped a beat. The Clithians were merciless strategists, warriors who had crushed worlds without hesitation. Humanity had avoided direct conflict with them for generations. "Double-check, Mira." "It must be a mistake," Rylan said, trying to sound calm, but his chest felt heavy. "It's not a mistake, sir. They're broadcasting a message, a declaration of war." Rylan froze. 5,000 years of peace had ended with a single broadcast, and yet deep inside he felt a surge of something fierce and familiar. Humans did not fear easily. Humans laughed in the face of danger. Meanwhile, on Earth, Chancellor Leona Varys convened the United Earth Council. Holograms of the Clithian fleet filled the chamber. The ships were dark, jagged, and terrifying. Allied species whispered in fear. Humans did not flinch. "We have survived plagues, cosmic storms, rogue machines, and internal chaos," Varys said, her voice calm but strong. "Now the Clithians think they can scare us. They are wrong. Humanity will not cower. We will meet their attack with courage, strategy, and unshakable resolve. The galaxy will see that humans do not surrender. They fight, they survive, and they endure." Across the room, alien diplomats nodded cautiously. Humans had a strange, stubborn energy. They did not just survive, they inspired awe. And when humans laughed in the face of danger, even the bravest enemy felt a chill. Rylan prepared the Dauntless for battle. He looked at his crew, each one ready to face the impossible. The Clithian fleet was enormous, far larger than any human fleet. But Rylan felt the pulse of humanity behind him: creativity, unpredictability, and a fearless heart. Somewhere in the void, the Clithian commanders believed they would strike terror into the humans' hearts. They were wrong. Humans feared death less than dishonor. Humans fought for hope, for freedom, for the spark inside that refused to die. The calm of 5,000 years was gone. The stars no longer felt safe and quiet, but in humanity a fire had awakened. It was a fire born of courage, laughter, and determination. Rylan smiled grimly. The galaxy would learn the truth about humanity soon. The Dauntless's engines hummed as it moved into position. Around the galaxy, humans readied their ships, their weapons, and their minds. They were ready not because they wanted war, but because they could not allow fear to rule them. The 5,000 years of peace had ended, but in its place rose something stronger, brighter, and unstoppable. Humanity was ready for whatever came next. The silence of space was shattered by the looming Clithian fleet. Hundreds of massive ships, black as void, drifted forward in perfect formation. Each one bristled with weapons that could annihilate a planet in minutes. Captain Rylan Hale stood at the helm of the Dauntless, his hands gripping the controls, but his mind clear. Fear had no place here, only focus, courage, and human ingenuity. "Scanners confirm multiple fleets converging on the Sol system," reported Lieutenant Mira Jo, her eyes fixed on the holographic screens. "They're faster than any known human ships. They want to strike first with overwhelming force." Rylan nodded. "Then we'll be faster, smarter, and unpredictable. Prepare the crew. This is not just a battle. It's the first test of humanity's spirit." The crew moved with calm precision. Engineers hummed at their stations, rerouting power to shields and weapons. Pilots checked their systems, faces grim but resolute. Humans had faced impossible odds before and survived. And now the galaxy watched them stand tall once more. In the council chamber on Earth, Chancellor Leona Varys addressed the world. "The Clithians believe they can scare us with strength. Let them try. Humanity does not bow. We do not retreat. We will fight with all we have. Not because we desire war, but because we honor life, freedom, and courage. Every human knows this. Our strength is not in our ships, our weapons, or our numbers. It is in our will." As the first Clithian ships approached, they fired warning volleys into space, explosions lighting the darkness. Some human ships trembled, but the Dauntless pressed forward. Captain Ryland's voice was steady over the comms. Focus on strategy. Use the terrain. Asteroid fields, gravity wells, anything. We do not fight as machines. We fight as humans. The first shots collided with human shields. The explosions were massive, shaking ships and sending sparks across hulls. Yet humans held formation, their tactics unpredictable. Where the Clithians expected fear, they found confidence. Where they expected surrender, they found laughter. On the Dauntless, Ryland watched as Lieutenant Mirajo executed a daring maneuver through a dense asteroid cluster. Clithian ships, unable to match human improvisation, collided and tumbled. The crew cheered quietly, though they knew the battle had just begun. This is just the beginning, Ryland said, eyes on the stars. Every species in the galaxy knows humans are clever, brave, and stubborn. We adapt, we survive, and we fight back. Suddenly, a massive Clithian dreadnought appeared. Its weapons glowed with destructive energy. Human ships scattered, but Ryland stayed calm. Target their engines, not their weapons. Disable them without risking our own. Use every trick we've learned in 5,000 years of peace. Humans are never predictable. The Dauntless executed a daring strike, weaving through the enemy fire, hitting the dreadnought's engines. It faltered, staggering in orbit. Crew members exchanged excited glances. Humanity's audacity had worked. In space, thousands of humans laughed quietly, a sound that carried defiance stronger than any cannon. The Clithians, cold and calculating, had never expected this. They had underestimated the spirit of humanity. Back on Earth, civilians watched live feeds of the battle. Fear was present, yes, but so was pride. Pride in a species that refused to bow. The galaxy had declared war on humans, but humanity had already declared its answer. Courage, strategy, and an unbreakable will. Captain Ryland looked out at the swirling chaos of battle. He felt something rise inside him, a fire that had burned for millennia in the human heart. The fight was not just for survival. It was for identity, for freedom, for the spark that made humanity unyielding. And in that moment, amidst lasers, explosions, and the cold vacuum of space, humanity laughed. They laughed because they were alive. They laughed because they refused to be conquered. And they laughed because the galaxy would soon learn the truth. Humans were not a species to fear. They were a species to respect. The first clash had ended. But the war, the real war, was only beginning. The first clash had shaken both sides. Clithian dreadnoughts floated crippled among asteroids while human ships regrouped, their shields flickering but spirits unbroken. Captain Ryland Hale stood on the bridge of the Dauntless, his eyes scanning the chaos. Every explosion, every maneuver was a test of human ingenuity, and humanity was passing with flying colors. "Captain," said Lieutenant Mirajo, pointing at the holographic display. "They're reorganizing. Another wave is coming from the Vega sector. Twice the ships this time." Ryland took a deep breath, feeling the familiar rush of adrenaline. "Then we give them twice the fight. Prepare all crews. This is our moment." Humanity doesn't just survive. We outthink, outmaneuver, and outlast. Engineers and pilots worked with precise coordination. Every human ship knew its role, every move planned and yet flexible. Humans did not rely on raw strength alone. They relied on creativity, courage, and unpredictability. That was their advantage. The Clithians advanced, firing a barrage of energy weapons that turned the darkness of space into a deadly storm of light and fire. Ships screamed through laser fire, some exploding in flashes of molten metal. Civilians on distant colonies watched the news feeds in horror, but Earth's people remained calm, their hearts swelling with pride. Humanity had faced worse odds before and had always survived. "Captain," Mira said, pointing at the hologram, "their flagship is moving into position. It looks massive, almost a kilometer long. Weapons capable of annihilating a planet." Ryland's jaw tightened. He knew direct confrontation was suicide, but humanity's strength was never in direct power. It was in cunning. "We'll split into teams. Flank the flagship from multiple directions. Distract it, confuse it, hit its engines, then retreat. Keep it off balance." Humans fight differently, and that difference is deadly. As the Dauntless led the maneuver, smaller human ships darted like lightning around the flagship, weaving through its massive guns, firing precise strikes. The Clethians were masters of strategy, but humans were masters of improvisation. They turned and struck where it hurt most. Explosions lit the void as humans targeted weak points in the massive ship. The flagship faltered, losing stability. Its weapons misfired. The Clethian crew, who had expected fear from humans, now faced daring and laughter. In the Dauntless's bridge, Rylan allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had something the Clethians could never understand: courage mixed with creativity, a spirit that refused to bend. All teams press forward. Don't give them time to recover. Show them what humans can do. Every ship moved in perfect coordination, striking at the Clethian fleet from unexpected angles. Smaller ships launched decoys, tricking the enemy into misfiring. Mines hidden in asteroid belts detonated near enemy lines. The Clethians' precision became confusion, and their confidence turned to fear. In Earth's council chamber, Chancellor Varys watched the battle unfold. Her voice trembled with emotion, though her composure remained strong. "Look at them," she said. "Every human out there fights not just for survival, but for life, for freedom, and for the future. They show the galaxy what it means to be human. Courage is louder than fear. Humanity is stronger than anyone expected." As the flagship exploded into a shower of fire and debris, human ships cheered across the comms. For the first time in history, a Clethian dreadnought had been destroyed by human hands. It was more than victory, it was a statement. Captain Rylan felt a surge of pride. Humanity had survived the first test. The war was far from over, but one thing was certain: the galaxy would never underestimate humans again. Somewhere deep in the void, the Clethian commanders reconsidered their arrogance. Humans were not easy prey. They did not cower. They did not beg. They fought with fire, wit, and laughter. And the galaxy, vast and endless, would soon learn that humans were a force unlike any other. The battle had only just begun, but humanity had already proven one truth: courage, intelligence, and unyielding spirit could shake even the greatest empires. The stars had witnessed it, and the Clethians would never forget it. The galaxy burned with the echoes of battle. Humanity had struck the first blow, but the Clethians were far from defeated. Their fleets regrouped, black ships forming sharp, deadly lines, their energy weapons humming with lethal power. Captain Rylan Hale stood at the Dauntless's helm, eyes narrowed. Humanity had surprised them once, but now, the fight would test every ounce of human courage and ingenuity. "Captain," Lieutenant Mira Jo said, her voice steady but tense, "the Clethian reinforcements are enormous. They're bringing ships from 3 sectors. Our forces are outnumbered." Rylan clenched his jaw. "Then we fight smarter. Humans don't rely on numbers alone. Every mind, every hand, every heartbeat counts. That is our strength. Prepare all tactical teams. This battle will decide more than survival. It will decide who the galaxy fears, and who it respects." The Dauntless led a coordinated strike. Human ships darted like shadows through the void, using asteroid fields and nebulae as cover. Explosions lit the darkness as Clethian cannons fired in frustration, missing moving targets by mere meters. Human ingenuity, combined with fearless courage, became their deadliest weapon. In Earth's control room, civilians watched the battle unfold on holographic displays. Mothers held children close, veterans saluted silently, and scientists whispered in awe. Humanity had become a symbol of defiance and hope. No alien threat, no overwhelming power could shake the human spirit. Rylan issued orders with calm precision. "Deploy decoys to the left flank. Lead the Clethians into the Trion Nebula. Their sensors will fail in the gas clouds. Use every tactic we've trained for. This is humanity's advantage." Lieutenant Jo executed the maneuver flawlessly. Human ships vanished into the nebula, leaving the massive Clethian ships to stumble blindly. In the darkness, humans struck. Mines detonated, engines faltered, and communication arrays overloaded. The Clethians had underestimated human creativity. Amid the chaos, Rylan's comms crackled. "Captain, a civilian transport is under attack in the Vega sector." A voice trembled. "We can't hold them off." Rylan's heart tightened, but he didn't falter. "Form a rescue team, save them. Humans never abandon their own." Pilots and engineers moved with extraordinary speed. They cut through Clethian fire, shields flaring, lasers striking with surgical precision. The civilians were saved, their ships escorted safely back to Earth-controlled space. The crew of the Dauntless cheered quietly, not out of triumph but out of relief. Humanity's compassion was as fierce as its courage. Meanwhile, the Clithians realized the humans' unpredictability. They had planned to crush fear, to intimidate, but humans laughed. They fought with ingenuity, adaptability, and a stubborn spirit. Every failed strike against humans became a lesson learned too late. Rylan looked at his crew, faces illuminated by the glow of distant explosions. He felt a swell of pride unlike anything he had known. Every human out here proves the same truth, he said softly. We fight not just for victory but for life, for freedom, and for the unbreakable spirit of our species. The galaxy will see that humans cannot be tamed. Across the stars, the tide began to shift. The Clithians' massive formations fractured under human tactics. Ships fell into disarray. Their dreadnoughts were crippled, their strategies unraveling. And still, humans advanced. Not with reckless fury, but with careful, relentless precision. On Earth, Chancellor Varys addressed the world once more. Her voice rang with pride and determination. Our people are not just surviving, they are inspiring the galaxy. Courage, intelligence, and loyalty define humanity. Every ship, every pilot, every hand fighting today carries the message: humans do not fear. Humans do not surrender. Humanity triumphs when it refuses to bow. Captain Rylan watched the stars, feeling the pulse of human resilience. The battle was far from over, but a message had been sent across the galaxy. Humanity would not break. Humanity would fight, and humanity would win. The Clithians had come to conquer. But in the heart of every human, a flame burned brighter than any weapon, and that flame would not be extinguished. The battle had reached its fiercest point. Humanity had held the line, but the Clithians were relentless. Massive ships filled the void, energy beams slicing through space, and explosions rocked the stars. On the bridge of the Dauntless, Captain Rylan Hale felt the weight of command, but he did not falter. Humanity's fate was in their hands, and they would not fail. Captain, Lieutenant Mira Jo said, pointing to the display, the Clithian command fleet is moving toward the Orion sector. If they break through, Earth itself could be in danger. Rylan's jaw tightened. Then we hit them first. Prepare strike teams. We go straight for the heart of their fleet. Humanity fights not from fear but from courage. Let's show them what that means. Human ships surged forward, weaving through a deadly maze of enemy fire. Pilots shouted commands. Engineers worked furiously to maintain shields, and soldiers readied weapons for boarding maneuvers. Humans were outnumbered, but that only sharpened their resolve. Every move was precise, every decision a testament to ingenuity and bravery. The Clithian flagship loomed ahead, a massive fortress bristling with weapons. Its command deck pulsed with cold intelligence, a hive of strategy meant to crush human resistance. But the humans moved like shadows, unpredictable, relentless, impossible to pin down. Deploy boarding teams, Rylan ordered. We take the fight to them. They cannot hide behind metal and fire. Humanity will strike at the heart of their command. Mira Jo's team prepared for the daring assault. Small ships detached from the Dauntless, slipping through enemy lines cloaked in stealth technology. Human soldiers trained for impossible odds boarded the flagship. Their mission was clear: disrupt, destroy, and show that humans did not fear death. They embraced purpose. Inside the enemy ship, chaos erupted. Clithian officers shouted, attempting to rally their crew, but human soldiers moved like a storm, precise and unyielding. Explosions shook corridors, alarms blared, and yet humans pressed forward with calm determination. Each step was a statement. Humanity refuses to be conquered. Outside, the rest of the fleet continued the battle. Laser beams and energy pulses lit the void, but humans used every trick, every tactic, every ounce of intelligence to turn the tide. The Clithians' numbers could not overcome human adaptability and courage. Back on Earth, Chancellor Leona Varys watched the live feeds. Her eyes glimmered with emotion. Every human out there fights not just with weapons but with heart, she said. They are showing the galaxy that strength is not in fear or size but in will, in unity, in the refusal to bow. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity does not break. As the boarding teams reached the command core of the flagship, they planted explosive charges, disabling engines and weapons in a single, brilliant strike. The ship shuddered, fires spreading through its corridors. The Clithians had underestimated humans, not just their courage, but their brilliance. Captain Rylan watched from the bridge of the Dauntless as the flagship erupted into a fiery explosion. The shockwave rocked the nearby Clithian fleet, scattering ships, breaking formations, and sending a clear message across the galaxy. Humanity was not just surviving. It was fighting back with unmatched strength and heart. Mira Jo exhaled, a mix of relief and pride. "We did it, Captain." They're faltering,